Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would very much like to continue on with our journey, our discussions, our discoveries, and our explorations with respect to the recent releases made by the Criterion Collection during this year of 2022. And that brings us to a very special film, which was part of, or is part of, this wonderful set, which was released by Criterion earlier this year. This set being Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project Number 4. There are a number of great films in this set, one of which is a work which is given the Criterion spine number of 1145. This is a work from the year 1976, and it is from the filmmaker Mohammad Reza Aslani. And the name of the work is, and please pardon me for my very poor pronunciation, the name of the work is Shatranji Bad, or as it's known in English, Chess of the Wind. This is the work from the year 1976, and it is from the filmmaker Mohammad Reza Aslani. And please pardon me for my very poor pronunciation. I hope you can forgive me. This is Shatranji Bad, or as it's known here in English for purposes of this release, Chess of the Wind. And among its really fantastic cast, we have Muhammad Ali Keshavarz and Fakhri Korvash and Shore Agdashlu. And my goodness, and others, and my goodness, what a fascinating portrait this is. This is a story that is so multifaceted, so wonderful, so brilliant, so overwhelming, and it is a real miracle of cinema, a real miracle of cinema. And it's one of the great strengths of World Cinema Project sets like these that are showcasing so many examples of films that could have been lost to history, that have been unearthed through sets of chance and hard work from restorers and the like, who discover these films and who then devote so much energy and time and resources to bringing them to life once again for all to see. I mean, that's a great story in and of itself, the restoration process story that is behind the rediscovery of this work, Chess of the Wind, which otherwise could have been lost to circumstance in history, never to have been seen again. But no, that is not the case. It is here, and it is here to stay, and it is glorious. Chess of the Wind is one of the great miracles of cinema. And if you have not yet had the opportunity to see Chess of the Wind, I cannot state enough how much I think you should see it. I've seen it so many times since this release from Criterion. You know, I had never been able to watch it before, and now that I was able to see it here and watch it a number of times, I'm stunned. I'm still shaking. It's that I'm trembling. It's that type of wow, awe-inspiring film. It is scary. It's like a mystery horror film. It is a locked room mystery family drama. It has layers upon layers of, say, historical setting, time period. We understand it's set in Iran in 1920s or so. So it's a beginning part of the 20th century. And so there are aspects of antiquity that are also clashing with aspects of modernity, which are definitely reflective of a space in which it was being made in the contemporary times, mid to late 1970s, Iran. And so a type of establishment or or giving way to themes that might be reflective of things about the white revolution or antiquity, or notions of a historical past precedent, which might be giving rise to notions or themes or societal commentary with regard to Qajar dynasty, and then of course reminding us of the great historical and cultural richness of the cinema of Iran in the hands of filmmakers like Mohammad Reza Aslani and others, in the form of a great example like this, Chess of the Wind. It's so great. It's so enriching. And so if you haven't seen this film yet, I cannot emphasize enough just how much I've been affected by watching this. It's brilliant. So brilliant. Uh, Let me try to explain why I feel that way. So if we were to start with the plot, we can understand that the plot is, again, this is taking place, we understand, in the beginning part of the 20th century, I understand, in Iran. And this is a wealthy household, a sort of aristocratic household. We have, at the head of this, we have the character of Haji, and then who is seemingly a character that has a type of ironclad control, patriarchal control over this household. But it's not without a sense of distrust or disunity, especially when we understand the sort of one of the central relationships is that between Haji and the character who is Fakri Korvash, who's referred to as Little Lady in the English language credits that's included in the booklet here. So. And we understand too that there is some intrigue involving the mother, or the mother who is no longer there, some kind of issues involving inheritance and a large amount of money, and a number of people within this household, both in terms of familial connections and also the servant class or the working class. So already we have so many things embedded within this structure. We have the representations of a historical or antiquated past, as represented by the time in which this film is taking place, and commentary on maybe Qajar dynasty dynamics and historical societal context. And we have therefore the class dynamics, upper class and working class, and also the expressions of working classes as expressed in certain scenes involving washing, people outside doing the washing, and there is also the sense of a Greek chorus-like commentary by these people washing of the events that are going on within the household, and it's done in an almost mocking or satirical way, so as to show a sense of distrust and also a sense of a breakdown of, say, the what might be otherwise deemed as being a type of class unity. On the contrary, there's a sense of a disunity or distrust, or even almost breakdown, to the point of a sharp revolutionary type of break. And when we think of this, we can think also of the present day of Iran, or the contemporary times of the mid to late 1970s. Leading up to what might be said to be a critical or crucial point in the history of Iran in the late 1970s, leading up to 1979. But in any event, here we have within the story embedded a sense of distrust and broken bonds. And those broken bonds are on a broad level in the context of class and wealth. And also those broken bonds can be said to be within the structure of the family itself. And I mean also the servants, the working servant level, as well as the family, the members of this aristocratic family itself, because here we have more intrigue, more distrust, and this is where the film turns into so many things. It is not just a type of parlor room drama, melodrama, and it is that way in so many wonderful ways. It is that. It is also almost feels like a locked room mystery. It almost feels in many ways to like a whodunit, in a manner of speaking, because there are mysteries, there are crimes, or maybe the potential of crimes afoot, the games afoot, in a manner of speaking. And so we as viewers become privy to mysterious goings on that are just compounded by a sense of distrust and unknown. And that sense of unknown leads to another way to describe this film as a gothic horror film in many ways. The house has a sense of showing us elements of antiquity, elements of a historical past, all the way down to the intricate pattern designs of certain decorations on the wall, furniture, the architecture, and the like. But also it shows a sense of unknown depths, things that are hidden beneath the surface, rooms that might show things on in the foreground, but maybe are hiding things in the background. And what is being hidden? Are these things that lead to further intrigue, mystery? Are they things that lead to very danger to one's life, soul, and body? Are these things that lead to, in fact, death and destruction? And so there is also, within that sense of the unknown, within that sense of the shadow, the gothic horror. And indeed, there are moments of true horror and fright as well. And that is further linked into the sense of the rot and decay that is being, one can see, that is being shown in this film, Chest of the Wind, through all the machinations of plot and character development. And my goodness, as the plot unfolds, there are twists and surprises and twists and turns in this that are just, it's amazing. It's so amazing to watch and behold, and it is a thoroughly it's a thoroughly entertaining work that is it's truly it causes one to tremble. Really, it's so fantastic. And we must say too that one of the great strengths of this is the filmmaking prowess. You know, the way that this film is shot and the way that the camera glides and moves with an almost excruciating type of patience, which is giving us a film a sense of attention and a nerve and a type of drip of type of trauma and chaos that when it becomes unwound, it really causes this this whole rush of emotion and dread to occur almost instantaneously. And that's one of the great strengths of this, the way it's paced and the way it's so wonderful indeed. This is director of photography Hoshang Barlow, and we have also the music too. The music, the way it's layered in, and it's relentless, and it has this feeling of a sense of dread and modernity, and a constant reminder of things not being what they might seem at first glance. And so the composer here is Sheida Garachedagi, and she actually appears in some of the discussions and some of the supplements. And so this is one of the great strengths. It has a feel, and this is too a sense of how it's shot and the way it looks and feels and sounds. This is also a reminder too of a film that's really using the backdrop of antiquity and also telling its story of modernity as well. So antiquity and modernity are clashing, and it's that clash that one can say is giving rise to a sense of dread or unease or being off put or off balance. And those elements are one of the reasons why this film is so successful the way it is. It really gets under one's skin in the best way possible. It has that great effect of unnerving the viewer and drawing the viewer in, and it's doing so by these very great cinematic elements, like the way it looks, the camera motion, and the sound, and the way things are revealed, and shadow and light. And there are some scenes there that are relying on almost a seemingly static camera, but in fact the camera is moving at this poetically paced way. And it's moving in a way that's showing information, but also it's hiding information at the same time in a purposeful manner. And it's that sense of revelation and withholding that puts one on edge. And when we see the action unfold almost in lightning speed, the camera still maintains this poetic edge to it that gives the film a sense of more dread, more unease, which serves the film so well. And then you layer on top of that the modernity dread of the music, and you have a sense of light and key color schemes that are really quite almost unnatural, just giving rise to a sense of somehow a depiction of a historical past, which has been given, we understand, a sense of authenticity in terms of depiction, but we then are clashed with a sense of the unnatural, the unnerving unnatural. And that clash leads to one of the most effective cinematic experiences. This is what a film this is, what a treat this is on so many levels. And I cannot contain my excitement for this work. It is truly awe-inspiring, and it is my hope that as many people get a chance to watch this film, Chest of the Wind, as possible. You are in for almost a roller coaster of thrills and chills indeed, as well as the sense of the great artistry of this filmmaker, Mohammad Reza Aslani, in terms of this, and also in terms of the supplements, which we'll get to momentarily. What a magnificent work this is. This is the work from the year 1976, and it is Chess of the Wind. The Criterion Collection has released this work, Chess of the Wind, or Shatranji Bad, within the context of this World Cinema Project set number 4. And this is purported to be based on a 4K restoration. And just a word about the restoration, which is can be found on pages 66 and 67 of the booklet that can be found with the set. It states, Chess of the Wind is presented in its original aspect ratio of 1.85 to 1. This digital transfer was created in 4K resolution on an Aeroscan film scanner from the 35mm original camera negative. For its initial release, the film was screened 3 times at the Tehran International Film Festival in 1976. After that, the film was considered lost, with only poor quality censored VHS copies circulating among cineasts and collectors. In 2014, the original reels of the film were found by Amin Aslani, the director's son, at an antique dealer's booth at a flea market, and returned to director Mohammad Reza Aslani, who managed to ship them to a secure location. Color grading required meticulous work, notably on reels 9 and 10, which called for an orange-tinted effect reminiscent of early silent cinema. My goodness. Yes, so this is an indication of the miracle of the discovery of this film, as described here. And it's also described elsewhere in the supplements about the discovery of it almost by chance by Amin Aslani. And so you'll get a little bit of discussion of that too in the documentary that's included here on Chest of the Wind, Manjin and the Wind, which we'll talk about later. But it's this is again, it's this that story too is it could be made into a film in and of itself. I think it's that dramatic and that powerful, and the fact that we can watch a film like Chest of the Wind now in the way that it is presented here, with the knowledge that again, I've never seen it before, but upon exploring it through purposes of this Criterion release, I understand that it was really poor, very poor quality. In terms of not being able to make out some of the images. There are some places in the supplements where you could actually see examples of the VHS copies that were circulated prior to its rediscovery in the 2000s. And the image, at least the excerpt that one could see, it was very, very difficult to make out what was going on and who was within the frame. And when you look at that, when you compare it to what we have now, this is really quite amazing indeed. So, wow, what a restoration! What a great assembly of talents and passion and good fortune and energy and efforts and endeavors that went into this film, and it looks and sounds awesome. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I am still trembling after watching this film a number of times already, and still I am trembling. I am shaking. My heart is still beating quite fast. This film is very exciting and it's awe-inspiring, and I think that feeling is due to many things. For example, the way it looks and feels and sounds. with this restoration. So well done, well done. And as I say, if you haven't seen the film yet, it looks and sounds great, so you are really in for a treat. And so with that, there is also the discussion of the supplements that can be discovered or that can be watched that are linked to Chess of the Wind as part of this release. And what are those supplements? So we have, first up, we have, as per usual, a great introduction from Martin Scorsese. This is described as being from 2022, approximately 2 minutes. And here we have Martin Scorsese speaking about Shatranji Bad and also the difficulties that the film had in terms of its opening and its, relatively speaking, short shelf life. It had a lot to do with the work being, well, it was suppressed, and it was further suppressed, and it was looked down upon by the general critics upon its initial screenings at the Tehran Film Festival in the late 1970s, and it was suppressed upon the Iranian revolutionary government, we understand. And so, and then it was lost, as we say, and not to be unearthed or discovered until these great events, or these very fortunate events from 2014. And it was, as Scorsese mentioned, it was condemned. It was a film that was condemned. So Mohammad Reza Aslani's work and his stature as an artist, we understand, was very much compromised, and it was very much confronted with a lot of hurdles and obstacles. And so with that story of his position within the context of say, the industry of Iranian cinema, and also the interactions with sort of what one might say political leanings that might have brought the cinema industry flow in one direction or the other. We have these circumstances that really meant that Chess of the Wind was not to be seen or celebrated for many, many years, and again, thought lost, but only to be rediscovered in this glorious, glorious way, so that we now can watch it even now in the year 2022. And that itself is a great, great miracle indeed, because as Scorsese mentions too, this film has so many things going for it in terms of its artistry and power, the claustrophobic aspect of its interior scenes, and how he describes it. It talks about different spans of time within its space, historical time interwoven almost at once, and how this too becomes a point of the way in which the cinematic style almost explodes off the screen in a way that grabs the audience immediately. So from a dramatic and thematic nature, and also sort of universal ability to enter into the world, this is really quite a remarkable feat of cinematic craft indeed. And also this way of blending time and space also reminds us too of the historical and social and cultural context of the film, both when it was made and also the time period or periods in which it's trying to tell its stories. So that gives it a drive and consciousness that is so valuable when watching this film and absorbing this work. So this is a great Scorsese introduction. They all are, but here's just yet another one, approximately 2 minutes. Please check it out if you can. It's really, really great. And then that's not all, because then we get the nearly 1 hour documentary. And this is approximately 53 minutes. And this is a documentary which is described as being from 2022. This is called Rediscovery of Chess of the Wind, The Manjun and the Wind. And this is by Gita Aslani, Sharastani, daughter of Mohammad Reza Aslani. And we have the great, it's talking about Aslani, the filmmaker, his background, this concept of manjun. It's very fascinating itself. He was described, Aslani was, he was described as being manjun of picture and sound. And we understand from this documentary that this phrase had a type of derogatory or some air of being a sort of insult or put down. And it was used to describe Aslani because of his perceived, say, nature in being so absorbed in terms of an artist. He was a filmmaker, an artist, and concerned so much with picture and sound. And so this phrase was used to describe manjun, picture and sound, in a almost an insulting way. But in fact, what this documentary does in a glorious, glorious fashion, it takes that phrase back and it puts it on the pedestal of respect and admiration that it really deserves, because it reminds us or tells us or it introduces to us the world and artistry of Aslani and the care that he has in terms of capturing certain nuances and detail, even in singular objects, in order to preserve a sense of time and place and destiny. And we see this in certain scenes that he discusses from other works. We also see this quite clearly in Chess of the Wind, and the way in which objects take a real focus and fascination. I mean, there's this, for example, there's this way in which jars, glass itself within Chess of the Wind, which might seem to be on the surface to be quite a mundane or everyday thing, these take on such importance and a type of temporal permanence in a manner of speaking, that when things happen to them, when things are broken or shattered, they cause quite an impact indeed. And this also leads to another object, which is like a almost a handheld ball and chain as well. Other objects too, like a wheelchair, and the way that it's set up as almost like a moving throne in a manner of speaking. These and other examples from Chess of the Wind show us the prowess in which, as an example of Aslani's great talent, he's able to showcase the importance of the object and focus the cinematic energies on enhancing the poetic power of objects. And that's, I think, a great testament to his keen-eyed sense to detail, which he shows here. That's another example here of his great artistry. And we also have many other ways in which he was seen to have been marginalized as an artist, or from maybe contemporary critics at the time, or maybe from sort of government authority bureaus at the time, etc. And so we have here examples of where the film, as spoken about a little bit later, where the film had what might be said to be somewhat disastrous showings at the Tehran International Film Festival, and those having to do with the misarrangement of reels being in the wrong order, the projector being set at the incorrect setting, so as thus to cause a diminishment of the way in which the image would seem a little bit much darker than it had been intended, etc. And thus, Aslani mentioned some anecdotes about how this may or may not have been done on purpose by people who might not wanted to have had a successful screening of the film. And so there's some conjecture there, I admit, but there's also this feeling or notion that yes, the deck was certainly stacked against Aslani in a number of ways. Thus, the derogatory term manjun. But this is again taken back. This phrase is taken back, and taken back with great confidence and glory that is well deserved. I mean, he is a true artist in many senses, and the fact that he had this sort of adversarial atmosphere, and with respect to this film, and still made the film the way it is a true testament to his character and to his artistic vision and drive. Now, speaking of the film, I mean, he does speak about the way in which he wanted to capture light. You know, he talks about the admiration that he had for the film Barry Lyndon, the Kubrick film, and talking about lenses that could capture low intensity light candlelight, etc. And he wanted to have lenses that were the same or similar to such NASA constructed lenses, and he was able to employ these Zeiss lenses in order to capture natural light, and indeed natural light and the sort of low intensity, but still be able to register the image. This is one of the key points of the film and its artistic success, because what is revealed in these scenes of natural light, in terms of the truth, in terms of what lies beneath, wow, indeed. And there is a sense of darkness and unknown, but still we see behind the curtain. And one of the ways we are able to see this is the way in which the film captures these settings in a natural light way. And we also talk about the house itself. He speaks about the house and about the way in which objects and the decor is meant to evoke a sense of time and place. There's a discussion of Ahuri Itasam's set design, objects of an era, the time period, the art, but at the same time, among these elements of antiquity, there are also aspects that might be said to be out of such time and place, and maybe more suggestive of a sense of a threatening modernity. And I use threatening in sort of air quotes to sort of suggest a sense of a quietly placed, poetically placed sense of revolution or disquiet. And we see that, for instance, in the way that the bed, there's a room with a bed, and the bed seems to be somewhat more has more aspects of modernity than, say, the antiquity of the setting around it or in other rooms of the house. There's also the image or the actual placement of the wheelchair itself, and how that too then thus becomes an image of antiquity versus modernity, etc. And also there's mentioning too of the glass structures. There's also mentioning too of the ball and chain. And so therefore this is the idea of the building itself becomes its own character. It's like its own it's a indelible presence of the film, and indeed that is certainly the case. And then too, we have a discussion of the acting and the way in which Aslani works with the actors, Shorey Agdashlu and Fakhri Korash, for example, and speaking about the female characters as well, because this is a film that has so many aspects too of gender relations and gender identity, and also the way in which this is enveloped into a sense of patriarchal or matriarchal authority and power, and how that can also potentially translate into things that are not always beneficial. And so this causes a sense of nuance and complexity and boldness to this overall conversation of familial relationships, gender relationships, and certain societal concerns that are undeniable when entering into those discussions. And so we have this aspect of the film displayed through its strong character developments, and also the way that music is used. There's moments where certain elements of folk music are used, maybe within the space of the film itself, but then there are moments when the film goes into, I mentioned the great soundtrack, the great music, Sheda Garchedaghi, and how this has a real imposed sense of disquiet and even poetic danger. And the imposition of this music is so, it fills one's heart with dread. It's that powerful, and that's so fantastic. So it's what a bold statement this is. And so for these and other reasons, this documentary, and also talks too about the restoration and the rediscovery of the film, and how this is itself a type of miracle of cinema. And it's great to see that interaction and that discussion. Wow. It almost one of the great what ifs, right? Things that can be discovered just almost by chance, and the treasures that await one should these discoveries be made. And here's a great example of it, and then we get a little bit of that story at the tail end of this documentary. So for these and other reasons, my dear friend, this documentary is top notch. So please check this out if you can. This is Manjun and the Wind, rediscovery of Chess of the Wind. It's approximately 53 minutes. And I would like now to talk about the booklet or the essay, which is focusing in on Chess of the Wind, which is part of this great booklet. The essay is, excuse me here, it is starting on, yes, page 28 of the booklet. And this is by Ehsan Khoshbakht, and it's called The Glorious Miniature of an Upheaval. And it touches upon many of the points that I tried to articulate in this video. It does it much better than I'm able to express, and it does it with much more expertise and much more knowledge of the film and the works of Aslani that I could ever hope to achieve. And so my strong recommendation is to check out this essay, The Glorious Miniature of an Upheaval, because you're going to get everything here. You get all the points touched upon in terms of the historical context, both past and present, the framing of the film, the certain aspects of Aslani's style and cinema that really drive the film to its almost inexorable and utterly brilliantly artistic conclusion. We have aspects of the production, the actors that are involved, the circumstances involving the screenings, those disastrous screenings, and the almost immediate backlash and suppression and disappearance of the film, only to have been rediscovered many years later. So for these and other reasons, this essay is top-notch. The Glorious Miniature of an Upheaval. So please check this out if you can. Once again, I recommend strongly to watch the film first, and then you can read the essay, because it does go into detail about the film, so some spoilers. But please check out this film first and then read this great essay. And so, my dear friends, let me say in conclusion, this is one of the best. This is one of the best. This set, the World Cinema Project set, is so fantastic. The films in it are incredible. One such incredible film is this film, Chess of the Wind. If you have not seen this film, Chess of the Wind, yet, I beg you, please give this film a chance. You're not going to be disappointed. This is just awesome. It is an awesome film. It is scary. It is thought-provoking. It is so artistic. It is rich. It is mysterious, and it is unnerving. And it is that it's that great experience, that great feeling, that tingle, that shiver that one gets when one watches great cinema. This is a great example of this. So please, I beg you, check this film out if you can. It's a masterpiece. This is the work which is Chess of the Wind. All right, my dear friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great movies. Thank you so much, as always, for your time. I very much appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.